Apparently, a Saudi group are considering, buying Chelsea Football Club. I wonder what your thoughts are on that. I would like to know. See in the comment section. So for me, that would be good news. Although I wouldn't say it has been all bad with Todd Bowley, Ed Barley, and clearly Capital. I wouldn't say it's been all bad. There have been good points, like Enzo Maresca is a good appointment, Esther Williams is a good talent. Cole Palmer has been fantastic for the club. The young players have been signing good talent, and it seems at this time they sort of turned the ship around, sitting in fifth spot, I think the sixth spot rather, and just a couple of points away from Aston Villa in fourth. So hasn't been too bad, but the resources that the Saudi group would have and their ambition, because they're the perfect sort of owners, their ambition and their resources, which is at this point seems to be like a bottomless pit or a well with no end. So so it would be fantastic to have them on board, and you know don't buy into all this negative rubbish that people like to go on about whenever you hear um, an Arab state or Gulf state or someone in the Middle East looking to take over a club where they like going, oh, it's sports washing and all that stuff, which is rubbish in my opinion. They do a lot of good stuff for the community, do a lot of good stuff for the club. Their youth policy and their quest for excellence. That's one thing that is always paramount. Look at Man City. That excellent. I know Saudi is different from Qatar, but you know that is different from United Arab Emirates. But you see that strive, that pursuit of excellence, doing everything it takes to get the best people in place, because they'll get the best sporting directors in place, they'll get the best coaching available in place, they'll get the best players available in place, they'll get the best academy structure in place. And like see Man City now can actually sell academy players, to play for first team in Champions League, contending sides like Dortmund, for instance, like Bino Gittins, I think was from Man City, he moved to Dortmund. The player I think has been rumored at Chelsea are scouting. For me, I don't see the need for him anyways. But I don't know what you think about the Saudi rumored bid to buy Chelsea, or at least explore that they have explored the idea to acquire Chelsea. For me, I think that would be fantastic. Clearly, capital, I think they're coming good, but as an ownership, I think the Saudis will get what it takes to win European football. Because have have a look at Man City, Manchester City. Manchester City, they have they win titles. You see the academy is playing very well. They're winning the academy. They're producing top talents. You know, you look at they've got the best coaching players. They've got a very excellent scouting network. They've signed Echeverry, which is one of the best and young talents available out there. Almost at the level, or even not. I think he should be on the same level at least with Esther William. So the question of getting young players and best available young talents in the world, they will do that as well. So I think that would have been fantastic as well. But I'm not complaining that much about Lele Capital at this point in time. But it's a nice idea to have explored, in my opinion. So that's what I think about that. And then one thing I want to talk about. So let me know what your thoughts are on the Saudi rumor takeover of Chelsea. And let me know in the comment section. Please subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified each time I post a video on the channel or each time I go live. So the next thing I want to talk about, which is very important, is much ado about this wonder kid, Josh Acheampong. Now, there have been rumors and reports, on the Athletic saying the club are freezing him out from playing for their development side and to play for the first team as well, until he signs a new contract and his present deal expires or would be expiring or come to an end 2026, the summer of 2026. So for me, uh, I would like him to sign a new contract. But I've heard a lot of people who have been going on about why would he want to play? Because I think that's one of the things that's been raised by his camp, that he would have liked to be Rhys James' replacement in the time when Rhys James was, out injured. Now, for me, I'm not one of those people who's like every academy player who knows how to trap a ball should immediately, automatically, be, in the first team or play in the first team. No, I'm not one of those. But for me, I've always said this: academy players only have few opportunities to play for the first team. Now, one of those opportunities would come when you have a senior player, a first team player, injured in their position, and then they can come in. Or alternatively, in a game where the team is dominating position, dominating play, and smashing the opponent, say 5-0, 6-0, and then with maybe 20, 30 minutes to go, you can bring that academy player on, you know. But other than that, an academy player doesn't really have an opportunity to play, especially in a team that wants to win things, like Chelsea wants to win things. So for me, I would have thought that would have been an excellent opportunity for Josh Acheampong to play, especially the fact that Rhys James was out, and then Malo Gusto was out for a couple of games as well. But rather, we had Disasi playing in there. And if you watch the video, if you watch this channel, you always one thing you would know about me is that I've been consistent when it comes to playing people out of position, and that's one of the gripes I had against Mauricio Pochettino. He was playing Levi Colwell out of position. He was playing other players out of position. So for me, playing Edisasi at right back, who is a centre back and one of the slowest centre backs, ahead of Josh Acheampong, for me was just wrong. Was wrong in my opinion. You know, Playing him out of position when he doesn't have the attributes to play there is just wrong, and that's one of the ways. That's the one of the highest forms of an insult you can give to a player. You know, for instance, if you have a striker and he's benched for a winger, that may not be too bad. But if he's benched for, let's say, a midfielder or a defender or a fullback, then you're there and then, letting that subtly letting that striker know that he's not in your plans and you don't want him, in your team, and you're done with him. So the same thing applies to Josh Acheampong, in my opinion. It's one thing if he's on the bench because of Rhys James. It's one thing if he's not having first team opportunities because of Malo Gusto, because those are two first team right backs or wing backs or attacking right full backs that are ahead of him in his position and are senior team players. So it's quite understandable if those players play ahead of him. 100% is understandable, right? And I wouldn't have an issue with that. But when for as a result of injuries they were absent and you didn't play this player and you ended up playing a centre back in his role, for me that is just not good enough. That's not just good enough. Like I said, academy players don't automatically have an opportunity to play for the first team. And the only time they can really stake a claim to playing for the first team is when you have a player injured, you have a player missing through suspension, or the team is so dominant, maybe against a lower opposition, so dominant, smashing the team maybe 5-0, 4-0, and it's like 20 minutes to go. That's the time an academy player has an opportunity to play. So when you rob the academy player of that opportunity, it's only human that the academy player would feel a bit down. Now, this is different from Rio Ngoma. Rio Ngoma that went to Liverpool, he's 16 years old, he's playing for the academy, training with the first team. That should have been enough for him. When you get to 18, 19, then, you have to be playing. And if opportunities come in the first team with someone being injured, someone being suspended, then you should be given that opportunity, because that's really the only opportunity you have to get into the first team to play. So for me, Josh Acheampong, I would like him to sign a new deal, even if it's a 1 or 2 years extension. But I also think freezing him out of the squad is not good enough, especially with Rhys James. Now, Rhys James, the fully fit Rhys James, is, for me, is not even arguably, is the best right back in the world. Is the best right back in the world. Alexander Arnold doesn't come close, because when you want to judge players, you have to look at the full package. Alexander Arnold may be ever so slightly a better passer than Rhys James. But when it comes to actual defending, Rhys James is way better than Alexander Arnold, and he's also a very good passer in his own right. He's pacey, he's faster than Alexander Arnold, and he's way stronger than Alexander Arnold. So he's the best right back in the world when he's fit. But on the flip side of things, when he is rarely fit, and now he's only if Enzo Maresca is to be taken seriously, or if what he said is to be believed, he can only play one game a week. So that means he probably will be out of the Conference League games. And when we have the FA Cup games coming up, when you have the Carabao Cup games coming up, he may be out of one of those games. And that creates an opportunity for the likes of course, Malagusto to start, but creates an avenue for a Josh Acheampong to play. Now sometimes people say freeze him out of the squad, but sometimes I think there are other ways you can tackle the situation. For instance, you can give Josh Acheampong game time. I'm not saying over Malagusto, but I'm saying like 20 minutes to go, then 5 minutes to go. If the team is playing well, winning, dominating, let's say a Conference League game, dominating an FA Cup game, dominating a Carabao Cup game, you can give him an opportunity to play. And then he sees that, yeah, you value me. It's not just, freezing out, and then it turns out to be like a war, so to speak. But based on what Fabrizio Romano has said as well, in his video on his YouTube channel, you can go and watch it as well. I'm sure you'll subscribe to the channel. From what he was saying is that Chelsea and the agents, the representatives of Josh Acheampong, are still in closed discussions, and probably will be able to come up with a solution pretty soon. So hopefully that turns out to be the case. So I wonder what your thoughts and opinions are on this. Josh Acheampong, do you think, okay, he has a case to play some game, to have some game time? Or do you think you're an academy player, stick to playing academic football and sign that new contract and see how it goes? So I'd like to know what your thoughts and opinions are on that bit. So for me, the next thing I want to speak about is Enzo Maresca. Enzo Maresca. How has he done so far? What are my thoughts on the Liverpool game? I know I've given my broad thoughts on the Liverpool game. I've talked about what I thought about the officiation. I know sometimes Chelsea fans, we do this thing where we find a player, we find a coach, and we blame, rather than looking at the officiating, because officiating is so important. If the referee gets a key decision wrong against you, then how can you win? So how can you win? So that's that with that. Now, Enzo Maresca, I think he's done well so far, but I think every now and again there are hints of him overthinking things and therefore getting things slightly wrong. Now, by this I mean, Jason Sancho, yes, should have started, but I think what's his face now? But I think Pedro Neto should have, come on, should have had a case to start as well, because against Alexander Arnold, one thing is that he's not that quick, and if you have a very quick winger, it'll put him in the spot of bother. And then he brought on Christian Nkunku to play the right wing, to play on the left wing rather. For me, I thought that was, tying our hands behind our back, because I think Nkunku would have done better either playing alongside Nicholas Jackson, or playing in Palmer's position, or playing instead of Nicholas Jackson, because I think that's where he's more suited. He's more suited to central areas as opposed to playing out wide. So I think that's one area where he got things a bit wrong. And if you watch the game, I think Parma was a bit towards the towards the right side of Chelsea, as opposed to being more central in that game. So I think in those areas, I think he kind of got things a bit wrong. But overall, I think Enzo Maresca has been very, very good for for Chelsea. But one thing as well, I think probably that's something you have to learn as well. I know maybe now he's trying to still get into settling, and he wants to be nice with the media, nice with the referees, and all that, which is good. But one thing I've learned from watching football, Alex Ferguson, Jose Mourinho, all the top managers, they, even Pep Guardiola, they always put their thoughts across when they feel that their team, you know, has been done wrong, and Chelsea were done wrong. Each time I speak about this, I'll always say Chelsea were done wrong against Liverpool. Why I choose to say this is for several reasons. I watch several streams and people sort of shy away from talking about it. You know, I've seen the analysis on Sky Sports, on Sky Sports Football, and they shy away from talking about it. I've seen the highlights, of the game, and they didn't even show the incident, but rather they showed the two, penalty incidents for Liverpool. The one that was given that Salah converted, and the one that was rightly chalked off. They analyzed both in the highlights, but they didn't show the Jadon Sancho penalty. Why? That's why I have to speak about it. That's why I have to speak about it. So I think Enzo Maresca has done so well so far. He's been fantastic so far. But one thing I want to see, which I've been holding out to see ever since I watched him on Coach Voices, I want to see those two tens. We saw it during preseason, but I really want to see those two tens. I want to see those two tens, come up against, come up against maybe some lower opposition in the league, a lower league opposition as well, and some games in this game, and some games rather in the conference league as well. So I think most games, most teams you're going to play against, we're going to just is going to dominate the ball way, way, way too much. And you need the people who can cause real damage to the opponents to be on the ball. So for me, I'm looking forward to seeing either Jean Felix and Nkunku in that 10 role with the striker in front of them. But right now, I understand that we just have one out and out striker, which is one recognized festive striker, which is Nicholas Jackson. And so maybe you want to work things out differently. But I think McGee as well can be an option that you can use. I think he's traveled with the team for the game versus Panathinaikos in Greece. So I think you can also have Malagusto play have McGee play as the number 9, and then you have Nkunku and João Felix in behind him. So that could really work. So one question I want to ask: what do you think about the proposed, or at least the reports and rumors about a group in Saudi considering taking over Chelsea? For me, I feel that would have been great. While I would say clearly Capital haven't got everything wrong. They've been okay so far. They've made mistakes here and there, but some of the players that they signed have come good, like Cole Palmer, instant success, and Nicholas Jackson is beginning to find his form this season. He's got 5 goals with three assists. So that's 8 goal contributions so far this season. So that's fantastic for him. And Nkunku has also coming off the bench to score goals. And you have Rich James come back to fitness. You see Malagusto, you see Vega being impressive as well when he comes on. So that's fantastic. So don't get me wrong. Clearly, Capital and Todd Bowley, Egbali, they've had their flaws here and there, but they have been good. But if there's an opportunity to get ownership from the Saudi group for Chelsea, that would be fantastic. You know why? Because one, they know what it takes to win. And a lot of people would say, "Oh, they're only concerned about the first team." No, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Look at the teams they own. Look at the teams people from those part of the world own. They do a lot for the community. They do a lot for the first team. They do a lot for the women's team and for the academy as well. So they're always, always very, very good. with the community and with the clubs they own. So I think that would have been fantastic for Chelsea and would have taken Chelsea to higher heights, because there's one issue that clearly Capital has, and every club that is owned by a committee, so to speak, that decisions are made by a committee, you always have this lag or drag in terms of making quick decisions. And once with American ownership, which is good to some extent, they sign a lot of young players, but going out to give you those players that can actually take you over the line, which is something that I think Saudi owners would bring to the table, would have been fantastic. So let me know what your thoughts and opinions are on that. Let me have them in the comment section right there. And then, what do you think about the Josh Acheampong thing? Do you think, oh yeah, he should stay? I mean, you're happy with the way the club is treating him at the moment, with him being frozen out? What are your thoughts on it? Like for me, I'm not really happy with freezing out players, especially this early into his deal. It still has 2 years on his deal. If this was maybe headed into the final year of his deal, then maybe talking about freezing him out. But I think there would have been a different approach. A different approach would have worked a lot better. And I think on the other side, I've also said I think he has a point. He has a point in that he should have played when Rich James was out injured. And freezing him out doesn't help you. And one thing I want to say again, unlike Gallagher, for his position, he has everything it takes to play in that position. He's quick, he's tall. I think he's about 6'1" tall. Um, he can invert into midfield, which is something Enzo Maresca is big on. So I think he should have some game time, at least in Carabao Cup games, FA Cup games. Like I said earlier on in the video, and if you follow me on X, I'm not one for academy players automatically being given starting berths, dominating the team and just playing, because you're an academy player for a reason. You have to develop, you have to prove, that you're worthy of a starting berth. You have to prove that you should be in the first team, because once you're 17, 18, playing for the academy, you're still learning, you're still developing. But once you start playing for the first team, you're now in the men's world, because right now you want to keep a man paying for his mortgage on the bench. That means you must show that you're as good as, if not better than, the person you want to keep on the bench. But I also feel that academy players, young players, don't actually have, many opportunities to play for the first team. And if you really rate those players, when those opportunities come, you give them the opportunity to play and see what they can do. Like when Rich James is out injured, then I think Josh Acheampong should have come on and been the backup, so to speak, to Malagusto. And then for me, another player that has been treated poorly, in my opinion, under Pochettino and under Maresca as well, is David Washington. Fantastic player, scores goals for the academy, was signed from Santos as a wonder kid from Brazil, but he's not really seen any sort of game time, whether under Pochettino or even under Enzo Maresca. So there were reports at some point that Chelsea were being linked to Liam Delap from Ipswich Town. For me, I was like, if you're not going to go out and sign a world-class striker like Victor Osimhen, for instance, or Victor Gyökeres, for instance, then there's no point going to sign yet another developmental striker when you have two on your books that are not really playing, like your McGuire and your David Washington. There's no point going to sign yet another player that you have to develop, that the fans have to be patient with, that the squad has to be patient with, that has to learn again on the job. And that being said, I think Shemi Mueka is part of the squad that traveled to Panathinaikos, to Greece rather. So I think that's good. I think that's good. He's traveled, and for his own sake, I hope that Chelsea actually smash Panathinaikos, say 4-0 with 25 minutes to go, so he has some game time. So speaking on that, there are people who've made the trip. So we've got Robert Sanchez, we've got Philip Jorgensen, Lucas Beckstrom as the goalkeepers, and then we've also got Tosna Darabayo, Beno Badeshia, Mark Kurella, Axel Disasi, Renato Vega. So for me, Tosna Darabayo, I think apart from the scuffle he had with was it Jota, I think, he's been fantastic when he's had the opportunity to play. He brings that calmness, he brings that control, he brings that composure to the heart of the defense. So I think he will be good to play. It's nice that he's traveled, so hopefully he's going to start. And then we've got Badeshir. Badeshir is someone who I have criticized a fair bit, in my opinion. Not in my opinion, but who I've actually criticized, to be fair to him. And he's traveled as well. But fair dues to him, he had a good, a fairly decent cameo when he came off the bench. I think he came off the bench for Dawson as well in the Liverpool game. So he had a decent cameo. So maybe that's his new role now, coming off the bench and showing things up. Maybe that would work better for him. So I think it's going to be him and Dawson Adebayo that are going to start in that game tomorrow. So let's see how that goes in that game on Thursday. So, and then Renato Vega, yeah, he traveled. Renato Vega is good. I think he should have started. That's another thing again that came to, that I wasn't happy about. I wasn't happy with Enzo Maresca, going into the Liverpool game. Cucurella is right now our number one left back. He's the number one left back for Chelsea. And like I usually call him, he's the inverted fullback king. He gets that inverted fullback role to a T. So if he's fit, if he's available, if he's not suspended or anything, he should start ahead of, Vega. But when he's not available, he should be the one to start. And that's what Maresca did in the Liverpool game that made me scratch my head a bit. You have Vega itching to come on and play in that left back slot, but you chose to go with Malagusto, play Malagusto out of position, when you had the Vega. And I think that didn't quite help Chelsea in the first half of that Liverpool game. So I'm happy that Vega is actually traveling with the team, and hopefully, because I think he is I think he would start at left back. He will start at left back against Panathinaikos in Greece. So good to see him there. And then in midfield, Enzo Fernandez, Kenan Gisby Hall, Cesare Casadei, Kani Chukwuemeka, and Samuel Rasaki. I think that's an academy player. And so when you look at this sort of list, it sort of tells you that the talk about freezing Josh Acheampong is actually real, because he ordinarily should be in the squad if he's not frozen out, because I think he's one of the ones who actually closer to the first team than any other. If you ask me, so I think so. It means it's actually real that he's been frozen out of the squad. I wouldn't have done that in my opinion, but that's what the club have done. And then Cesare Casadei. So Cesare Casadei is played, and I think Romeo Lavia should have. I think I would have liked him to have traveled with the team, but I think he's one of those ones who come under the one game a week sort of category. So I think midfield probably will see Casadei play, and Kani Chukwuemeka is traveling with the team as well. So that's good because he's really had game time. He's really had game time. He's a very good player, but injuries have been the bane of the guy. And of course, the signing of Dewsbury Hall. Dewsbury Hall has been, something that has affected his game time as well, in addition to his injury. And then for forwards, we've got Noni Madueke, Mikhailo Modric, Pedro Neto, João Felix, Jadon Sancho, Tyreek George, McGill, and Shimu Mueka. Of course, Christopher Nkunku. So from what I'm saying here, Christopher Nkunku will start in that 9 role, and Shimu Mueka and McGill could come on in the second half if it's a game where Chelsea have just absolutely dominated, Panathinaikos. Maybe it could come on, but not too sad about the people who have traveled. I'm okay with it. that's fine. The only thing is I would have loved Josh Acheampong to have traveled with the team, but there you have it. So another question I want to ask, Nkunku, what do you think about Christopher Nkunku? Do you think at some point he would get to start ahead of Jackson, or do you think he should even start ahead of Jackson? Because don't get me wrong, Jackson has been decent this season, especially when you compare, his performance this season and his performance last season. But I think all round, in terms of an all round player, in terms of all round when you're looking at both players, I think Christopher Nkunku is way better than Nicholas Jackson. Is the better finisher than Nicholas Jackson. He can combine better with Cole Palmer, in my opinion. I know some people say Nicholas Jackson has perfect chemistry with Palmer, but I think Nkunku is such a wonderful player that if he pairs up with Palmer, it will be instant chemistry, it will be instant understanding, in my opinion. And Jason Sancho also travels. So for me, I think going into the game against Panathinaikos, so Madueke also travels. So for me, what I'm looking to see is I like Madueke and Callum Modric to start. But I think since Madueke played a large portion of the game versus Liverpool, he may not start. So that's not something where you may have João Felix playing, on one wing and Mikhailo Modric playing on the other. So let's see, how that works out. But one thing I don't want to see Nkunku playing out on the wings, because Nkunku out on the wings is just wasting him. Nkunku functions better in central areas. So either at the 9 role or in an 8.5 role or a 10 role. That is where he functions better. Playing him out wide is like using a spoon to drink water. You drink some water, but you'll be wasting your time, and then you'll also be using the spoon for something it's not meant for. So I think Nkunku should play in those central areas, either as a 10, 8.5, or a 9. Otherwise, he should be on the bench. There's no point having him play out wide and being lost. Because Liverpool game, he came on and started playing on one of the flanks and was almost non-existent in my opinion. So yeah, so that's it. So what do you think about the pool of travel so far, and what would be your starting lineup? Who would you like to see start? Who would you like to see start? In favor, who would you like to see start, or rather in the starting lineup going into the game versus Panathinaikos? And then as well, the topics we've been talking about today, the Saudi links to Chelsea, they were linked to sign to acquiring either Liverpool or Chelsea. What do you think about that? Would you like them to take over Chelsea, or are you happy with Clearly Capital, what they're doing so far with Chelsea? I know you could be happy, and it's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong about that. They've signed a lot of exciting young talent, and finally, it seems like the club is heading in the right direction. And finally, it seems they've gotten a manager that quite understands his role, and he's having his impact immediately on the team. So there's a fine case for saying Clearly Capital are doing okay so far. But also, there's a fine case for saying if the Saudis take over Chelsea at this minute, whew, it will be in 2 seasons or less, it will be Chelsea and Man City going head to head, because the way they invest in clubs, the support they give to their clubs, the support they give to the communities, to the academies and everything, will make Chelsea a force to be reckoned with, as opposed to the Clear Capital that are more process based, step by step, that can take a long time. And the way the Premier League is, it's not like Spain where you have Barcelona and Real Madrid dominating. In the Premier League, some consortium or some billionaire can come take over a club, and then that club can be a force. I know we have FFP restrictions and all that stuff, which I think is just a lot of BS in my opinion. So what do you think? What are your thoughts and opinions? Let me know in the comment section. Would you be happy with the Saudis taking over, or you much rather prefer Clearly Capital to be, you much rather prefer the ownership of Clearly Capital, you much rather prefer them in situ? What are your thoughts on that bit? And then we're talking about Josh Acheampong as well. What do you think about the way he's been treated so far? What do you think about the contract situation? Should you just sign it? Are you one of those people that feel you should sign the contract, and get his moving? Are you happy with the way the club has frozen him out of the team? So what are your thoughts on him? And for me, like I said, is young players have very few opportunities to play for a club like Chelsea, and rightly so. Because if you want to win anything like a Premier League title, Carabao Cup, League Cup, an European Cup, you need to have the best players in the best positions for you to help you win. But then when you have those opportunities here and there where players injured, where players suspended, then that's where an academy player can then play. But when you don't give the player and the academy player that opportunity to play, then they can never play. Then they can never play. And with the way Clearlake is going, before you know what's going on, they could sign another Brazilian um, fullback, another 16-year-old, 17-year-old Brazilian fullback, and someone like Josh Acheampong could look at it. Oh, what is the guarantee that I'm going to play if this young player is going to be ahead of me as well? So, what are your thoughts on that? And speaking about Josh Acheampong, there's another player I want to mention as well. His name is Ishi Samuel, I think. Ishi Samuel Smith. He was signed from Everton, I think, the beginning of the season, or he was signed earlier. He's a left back, and I think he's kind of like the Josh Acheampong in the left back spot. So he's tall, he's fast, he's strong. So he plays as well. What are your thoughts on him as well? And then we've also had rumors of the Nigerian, not quite, he's not yet an international, but Chrysanthus Uche, that plays for Getafe, that Chelsea were linked, have been linked to him, and they were exploring thoughts of signing him. Um, and Enzo Maresca said to play that lone six, he wants someone who can actually, defend and attack in the same fashion with the same sort of at the same level. So what are your thoughts on that? I think Uche Santos could do a fine job as well. But the question that comes to my mind is, you have a player like Andre Santos that's unknown to Strasbourg. He can do that. He can defend. He can attack. How are you going to use him? You've got Leslie Ugochukwu. It's someone you can use, but you've not quite used him yet. So how are you going to use him? So it's one thing to say we want Chrysanthus Uche, and then we want to use him, but how are you using the players you already have, like your Andre Santos's, your Leslie Ugochukwu's, and then your Romeo Lavia? So what are your thoughts and opinion on that? First off, what are your thoughts and opinion on Chelsea being linked to Chrysanthus Uche? He's a Nigerian that played for Getafe, and he's been, impressive for the La Liga side so far this season. He scored on his debut. So what do you think about that player? Do you think he's someone that can make a difference for Chelsea? Do you think Chelsea should even be looking at his direction, given, the players that we have are not quite using? You've got your Leslie Gochukwu, who's not being used on loan to Southampton. You've got Andre Santos, he's not being used. And you've got someone in the academy as well. Alex Matos is there. He was signed from Norwich, but all these players are not being used. So do you think that midfield area, that's six role, is somewhere that Chelsea needs to invest in? What are your thoughts on that? And then still speaking about that sixth spot, we've got Enzo Fernandez, we've got Romeo Lavia, we've got Caicedo. If you were to pick your own, starting defensive midfield pairing, which would you go for? If you mean, who would you go for? I know Enzo Fernandez costs a lot of money, 100+ million pounds. You've got same thing with Caicedo, who's been very good. He's come on leaps and bounds this season. So what do you think about him, and who do you think would pair with it? Because he's been very good, but Enzo Fernandez, there have been questions about his role. Now, for Enzo Fernandez, I'll just talk about him a bit before I talk about my own sort of central defensive midfield pairing. Enzo Fernandez is a very good player. He's a fantastic player. He has the potential to be world class. In my opinion, Enzo Fernandez has the potential to be world class. But it's all about expectations. Like Toni Kroos, you can argue that when Toni Kroos was playing for Real Madrid, he was world class. His passing range, the way he would help Real Madrid, in partnership with Mudryk, Bayern will look at Modric, control the game, control the pace of the game, dictate play. Was world class. But if there was ever an expectation for Tony Cruz to be athletic, to display high level of athleticism, running, tracking back, being hard in tackles, he would have lost. And the same thing, I think that's what the problem we're having with Enzo Fernandez. Enzo Fernandez isn't a box-to-box midfielder. Now, Enzo Fernandez can thrive when it's not that he can't go forward. He can go forward when the team is absolutely dominating the opposition, pressing them into their own half, pressing them close to their own box, and he can step forward and press. But Enzo Fernandez is at his best when he sits and dictates play. When he sits and takes play. But right now, I don't think that's the way the team is playing. And for me, I think the best pairing for me is Romeo Lavia and Moises Caicedo. That's the best pairing in that position. That's the best pairing in that position, in that central defensive midfield. Now, to get the best of Enzo Fernandez, you need a destroyer in inverted commas. You need a destroyer by his side. Someone like a Leslie Ugochukwu by his side that can do the hard work, do the dirty work, tackle, win balls, and let him have the ball, and then he can take play, and then he can create from there. But this thing, first, he's not athletic enough to be up front. I don't think his skill level is not up to the level where you want him to be in the 10 role, because you miss out a lot. He misses out a lot if you have him there. So that 6 role is the best role for him to play, but it's just the expectations of the role. If you expect him to be athletic like Caicedo or Romeo Lavia, you'll be having a run for your own back, in my opinion. So, what is your own chosen central defensive pairing for one? And then secondly, what do you think about Chrisandros Uche? Do you think it's someone that Chelsea should even be looking at signing? What are your thoughts on that one? And then there was another name that came up. Was it Frank Onyeka or Francis Onyeka, a Bayer Leverkusen player? I just saw on some videos it was linked to Chelsea. I was like, well, that's weird. Didn't get any reports from any sort of reliable link. What do you think about him? I think he's traveled with Bayer Leverkusen team, the Bayer Leverkusen side that will be playing, in the Champions League. So I think he's coming in place of Victor Boniface, another Nigerian. So let's see how that happens, how that shakes up. So while you're here, subscribe to this channel, click the like button, the notification bell as well to notify each time. Come on this channel now. For Nigerian fans, Nigerian viewers, Nigerian subscribers, I'll be doing a giveaway on this channel. Once we get to 400 subscribers, I'll be giving 5,000 naira to 5 persons. Constant chance of winning 5,000 naira to 5 persons. And then get to 1,000. Get to 1,000 subscribers. For sure, that's 10,000 naira for 3 people. That's for sure. So, and also, as we're winding down this live stream, I want to remind you of other shows that are coming on this channel. From next week, I'll put out an actual schedule so you know when to come on and watch them. For now, click the notification bell so when I post them, and you can come on the channel and watch it. The other shows that will be coming on this channel, there's Next Gen Nigeria. That's essentially the next talents coming out of Nigeria that are aiming to be world class will be on this channel. There's Next Gen Chelsea. That is a show talking about the next generation of Chelsea talents coming out from Cobham, that are set to, at least have the potential to be first in players. So keep your eyes peeled on this channel for that one. And then you also have your match review and match preview shows that come on regularly on the show and as well on the channel rather. And then you have your Premier League recap show that comes up every Tuesday where we review all the big games. We have a run through all the games that took place in the Premier League and have a closer analysis of the bigger games that took place in that week. So we've done one for the past week for game week 8, so you can check that out as well, and you can also watch that through and let me know what you think as well. So Let me know your thoughts and opinions on these various shows. Would you like? Would you prefer? In the comment section right there. Let me know. Let me see what you think. And then if you have questions and opinions about anything, let me know. What you think about the programming so far, let me know. But also to run, going back to the topics of discussion today as well. Let's run through them. This Saudi, we had some Saudi ownership group targeting taking over Chelsea. What are your thoughts on that? And is it something you would have been happy with, or is something that you don't really care either ways, or you rather prefer Credit Capital, the way they've been handling the club? What's your opinion on that one? And then Josh Acheampong, what are your thoughts on Josh Acheampong as well? The whole contract issue with Chelsea. Do you think is something that means anything? Do you think is good the way he's been frozen out? What are your thoughts and opinion on that? Now, I'll be giving my starting lineup for the Chelsea versus Panathinaikos game, and I'll also be giving a score prediction. So let's go into it. Now, for me, I'll be going with Philip Jorgensen in goal, and then at right back, that's where we have an issue because it should have been Josh Acheampong at right back. But looking at those who traveled with the team in terms of defenders, Cucurella, Axel Disasi. So I'm thinking Axel Disasi is going to play at right back again. But that's the problem I have. Football, you can have all the experience, you can have all the nows, but football, it's obvious to say, it's a sport. And therefore, some level of athleticism comes to play. What happens when you come up against a pacey winger? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Or is Enzo Maresca going to shoehorn a left back into that position? Is that what's going to happen? Is he going to force Marco Corella, probably Marco Corella at right back, and then play Vega at left back? That's the kind of thing I don't like, where you have to shoehorn people, or you're going to play disasters there. We just hope and pray that we don't come up against a pacey winger, or else Disasi is going to be roasted if he plays at right back. He's going to be skinned alive. We've seen it in the Premier League. He doesn't suit playing that position. I know Conference League. Everyone says, "Oh, Conference League, the teams are not so good. Chelsea, we are the favorites." But you must respect your opponent. And one way you show disrespect for your opponent is playing someone that does not have the athletic ability to play a position. Playing someone as slow as Disasi at right back, which is a criminal in my opinion. But based on those who travel, Disasi will have to play right back, and let's see what happens. And then central defensive pairing based on the players that traveled, I'll be going with Bajashio and Tosa Darabayo in the heart of the central defense, and I'm going with Renato Vega, at left back. And in the midfield, go with Kaisede. I mean, say Kaisede, Caicedo. Caicedo would be my first choice there. And then maybe Enzo Fernandez. So Kaisede and Enzo Fernandez who play in the central defensive midfield roles. And Mikhailo Mudryk for me will play on the left. And then Noni Madueke will play on the right. And Nkunku would start and play as a striker. And then on your 10 role, let's see this list. 10 role, who we're going there with. So 10 role, João Felix. João Felix will play the 10 role behind, the striker Nkunku. So that's my lineup for the Panathinaikos game. So what is your lineup? Do you have any disagreement with the lineup I've chosen for the game? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. And whilst you're here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And there are more shows coming on this channel. And then for a score prediction, I'm going to be respectful. I'll just go with it. Comfortable, 2-0 win. Panathinaikos, I inside, but I think Chelsea would have more than enough, to deal with them, to cope with them. So I'm going for a 2-0 victory for Chelsea, comfortable 2-0 victory. And I'm guessing we're going to see the balloon celebration as well, with Christo Nkunku getting the goal. So that's my opinion. That's what lineup that I would predict to start. What is your prediction lineup? And let me know in the comment section. And then what's your scoreline prediction as well, let us also know. And we'll run through the topics again if you've just joined the stream. So, Saudi takeover of Chelsea, is that something you would like to see, or you like clearly the way they're going? Let's know. And then the Josh Acheampong story, what do you think about it? Fabrizio Romano has come up to say in his channel that while you have differences of opinion and that Josh Acheampong wants to play, but Chelsea are in negotiations or close discussions with Josh Acheampong agents or his representatives and his team. So maybe some positive news will come up from that. So, what are your thoughts and opinions on that Josh Acheampong and Chelsea issue? And then there's been links to a Nigerian player to play for Chelsea. He played for Getafe at the minute. He plays in midfield for Getafe. He's been fairly decent. He's had a fairly decent start. I know for me, I've been pushing for the NFF to invite him to play for this Nigeria Super Eagles in the AFCON games, AFCON qualifiers, but he hasn't been invited yet. So, what are your thoughts on Chrysanthus Uche and being a target for Chelsea? Do you even think that role is something that Chelsea really, really needs at this point in time? Like I mentioned, we've got several players in that position already. We've got Andre Santos on loan to Strasbourg. We've got Leslie Ugochukwu on loan to Southampton. We've got Romeo Lavia is in the team. We've got Enzo Fernandez is in the team. We've got Moses Caicedo is in the team. So that's already 5 for 2 slots. So is there really a need to get Chrysanthus Uche to play in there when you already have these people? And then you've got Alex Matos as well, who's very, very good. And on Next Gen Chelsea, I'll be talking about him as well. So we've got like 6 options there. Do we really need to get another central midfield player, another central defensive midfield player? I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions on that one. And then how would you rate Enzo Maresca so far? Are there things that you're looking at and you're like, I'm not too happy about this? For me, I think he's been fantastic so far. Enzo Maresca has been fantastic so far for the team. And he's really made all those Poch stands people, all those Poch in people to look a bit silly. Give Poch 100 years to get his team right. Enzo Maresca has come in and immediately you can see what he intends to do. And then the one criticism I have about Enzo Maresca is, I know I'm repeating this, but stop shoehorning players into positions that are not fit to play. That's not their favorite position. Stop it. Don't do it. And also, I feel Enzo Maresca should be a bit forthcoming when he's talking about officials. Enough of this. They get some right, they get some wrong, or honky dory. No. Alex Ferguson, in his day, when Man United were dominating, he would always speak up when decisions went against Manchester United. And it was proven that this referee did take note. Jose Mourinho would always speak up. So I think after the Liverpool game, Enzo Maresca should have spoken up. Because it's almost like the media, everyone else is trying to sweep it under the carpet and act like nothing happened. It's strange to me because football is a game of moments. You get that penalty, Cole Palmer scores it, and we're talking about something else. And then the team will set up differently. You get your one goal ahead, you can set up differently, you can play on the counter, use the pace of Madueke, getting in behind and causing havoc. But that didn't happen. But I feel that's one area, the second area I think Enzo Maresca should step up. You're now a coach for Chelsea. With due respect to Leicester City fans, you're no longer the coach of Leicester City, you're a coach of Chelsea. You should be demanding things. Pep Guardiola would always demand. You demand of his players and also demand of officials. When they get decisions wrong, he will state it, he will say it in his press conference. So I think Enzo Maresca should do the same as well. But overall, he's been fantastic so far for the team. But there's one thing I've been looking forward to seeing. I want to see those 2 10s play. I want to see. So at this point, we're coming towards the end of the video. So I want to say thank all those of you that have watched this video to the end, and those of you who subscribe as well, and those of you that also watch this afterwards. Maybe you're busy with work, busy with life, doing other things, and you watch this afterwards. Thank you so much for watching and supporting this channel. Let the channel grow, because it's called Ugamani Football Channel, but it's also your channel. And if ever you would like to come on the channel and have a discussion about issues concerning Chelsea, issues concerning football in general, and you want to come on one of the shows, just let me know. Follow me on X, is Ugamani Football Channel. The football is spelled with one L. You can follow me on there and send me a DM, or you could in the chat here. Like you can see, the link is in the chat, so you can just click the link and join. And if you're clicking the link, just know it will require you to give your camera and microphone access, so that I can see you and viewers can see you, and also, hear you. So at this point, we've come to the end of today's stream, and I'll see you on tomorrow's video. Hopefully it's a reaction to the Chelsea win, against Panathinaikos. Hopefully it's a win. And whilst I'm saying that, let me know what your previous scoreline is. And so at this point, I've come to the end of the video, and I'll see you on yet another video. So do have a fantastic rest of your evening, and stay blessed.